This video is on Quercus pagoda, cherrybark oak, swamp red oak, or swamp Spanish oak. It's in the Fagaceae family, the beech family. The fruit type is a nut, and the epithet means like a pagoda. So this species is very valuable for timber, more so than the other red oaks even. Very important for furniture, flooring, and lumber. This species is closely related to southern red oak, and sometimes it's considered just a variety of that species. Sometimes you'll see Quercus falcata variety pagodafolia referring to this species, but we treat it as a separate species here. This species is associated with bottomland areas. It loves lowlands. You'll often see it growing along swamps, along rivers, things like that, but it's also planted. So for ID, the leaves are going to be simple and alternate, like all of our other oaks, and you'll see these clustered terminal buds. That's another characteristic that all of our oaks share. Multiple terminal buds there at the twig tip. But these simple alternate leaves, you'll notice this is a red oak, so it's going to have those bristle tips right there at the tip of each lobe, a nice elongated bristle. And the leaf itself is going to be lobed, and these lobes are going to be nice and narrow, and they taper to these narrow points. So look how they are broadest at the base and then taper to a point. So those nice tapered lobes are a good character. And you're thinking probably at this point this looks pretty similar to southern red oak, but the big key difference is going to be this leaf base. So down here I have a southern red oak leaf on the right, and then our cherry bark here on the left. So this leaf base on the cherry bark oak is going to be this nice V-shaped or wedge-shaped base, or sometimes it's more straight across, but often it's this nice direct V shape. Instead of our southern red oak here on the right, look at that nice U shape. How that base of that leaf forms a nice rounded U shape that curves up to the first pair of lobes. So that nice U-shaped base, as opposed to the sharp, obtuse angle here, this nice wedge shape on the cherry bark oak. So that's the big character to differentiate these two, because they're very similar with their narrow tapered lobes, but that wedge-shaped base is key for cherry bark. Now the acorns are really small, similar to southern red oak, and really you can't differentiate these two species just by acorn. So on a quiz, if we give you one of these, both species would be acceptable, unless we would preface it with saying this was a lowland, this acorn was found in a lowland along a swamp, then we'd probably be looking for cherry bark. But if we just give you the acorn on a quiz, I wouldn't expect you guys to differentiate this from southern red oak. Very similar small acorn there with the scaly cap that just covers the top third or so of the acorn. So very similar to our southern red oak, but the bark is also a good way to ID this species. So the name cherry bark oak comes from this mature bark, which is going to develop these nice blocky dark plates, and they're often kind of crinkly, so similar to mature cherry bark. That's where that name comes from. These crinkly, blocky bark can look similar to the mature black cherry that we saw earlier in lab. That's where that name cherry bark oak comes from. So that bark's pretty distinctive here. Those nice blocky, kind of crinkly, kind of have a crinkly pattern there on these plates. But our big keys here are those tapered lobes, like we talked about, with those bristle tips, and that wedge-shaped base. That's the big character you're looking for on a cherry bark oak.